Next, let me show you some photo examples, but first let me show you the camera settings. These are the current photo modes available, but more are on the way with a future firmware update. Photo resolution is important, and if you are a photographer, you're going to use the 547.2 x 3648 3x2 resolution, but if you just want to take photos, put them on your cell phone and send them on social media, just use the 16:9 resolution. Now, according to the listed specifications for the drone, the HDR imaging and hyperlight must be coming in a future update because they're not currently on my drone. Now let's take a deep dive into some of the photos I've taken with this drone to see how good they really are. So you see some on the screen right here, but we are going to check it out even further. Check this out. Here we go. So here's a photo of my street. So look at the back. I'm looking at the house way in the far distance. I just drew a box around it. Now we're going to crop in this photo massively. Look at that. We're going to crop way in. Can you read the house number on there? I certainly can. That's pretty amazing. The amount of detail in these images is just out of this world. Now let's zoom back out and check out the car that was driving down the road. So this car was driving down the road as I took the photo. Let's zoom into the license plate and see if we can read the license plate. I'm going to have to block some of the license plate out because just in case this person doesn't want their personal information spread around the internet, but you could read the license plate. The letters are very clear. Let's zoom out and check out another photo. So looking down another street in my area, I'm drawing a box around a van. Way at the end of the street there's a van. Let's zoom into it and see if we can read what's written on the side of the van. Certainly we can. It's so clear. Now let's zoom out and check out another photo. So here we have another section of my neighborhood, and there's a guy in the backyard having a cigarette, and there's a dog in his backyard. I'm drawing a box around it right now. Let's zoom in and check that out. Let's get in there. There he is. See the man? See the dog? Yep, that's how well the resolution on these photos are. That is just incredible. Alright, let's zoom back out and let me show you one last photo. Remember I mentioned if you're a photographer, use the full sensor for your image? Well, that's what these images are. But there is one issue you have to keep in mind. So this is a full sensor resolution. I've zoomed into the very top portion and we're going across, and the detail is stunning. However, there's one issue you have to keep in mind when using the full sensor. That means you're using the full lens. And if I scroll down, look at our houses. They're sort of lopsided. So that's the left-hand side of the photo because, you know, just as the way the lens is made when you're using the full sensor. We're using every bit of optics that are coming through. Everything's perfect here. And then when we go to the right hand side, we'll have the same issue. You can correct that with software, but if you want it straight out of the camera with DNG RAW or JPEG, this is what you're going to get. So if you're an amateur, just shoot in 16:9 and you'll be perfectly fine. Next, I want to show you how I flew the EVO Lite on multiple batteries in super cold weather. All I would do is put one battery on the EVO Lite, fly it for 35 minutes, however long the battery lasted. And then when the battery was done, I would bring it in, put a fresh battery on it and warm it up. And after it was warm, take it out again. All right, so you saw in that clip how I kept the Autel EVO warm every time I changed the battery and then went back out flying. But I will tell you that I didn't do the same for my fingers. Look at this. I have frostbite on this little finger. I've never got frostbite before, but you know how I take my gloves and I chop out the top on the index finger so that I can take my finger and touch the phone and do all this stuff? Because I don't like those touch capacitive gloves they have on the market. Anyways, I finally got frostbite. So the tip of my finger is numb. I can't feel a thing. So it should heal in about, I don't know, maybe about 2 weeks to a month. And then I'll get my feeling back. But what I do now, since I can't expose it to cold, is I wear gloves, totally covered. And you see in a lot of videos I use this. So I have this strapped to my wrist. It's just an FPV battery strap from the FPV hobby with a little piece of wire going down to an aluminum item that you use to select items on your tablet or phone, you know, touching, and that's what I use. So you'll see this in a lot of videos. So if you're ever wondering what's dangling off my wrist, it's this. All right, so enough about this. We're all here for the Autel EVO Lite, so let me get into the specs. Now, I do have a goldfish brain. For those who know me, I will forget stuff. So up here are all the specs. Check it out on this baby, but I'll go over some of the more important ones that I think are important. First thing I thought was pretty cool on this when I got it was the arms on it that are foldable. They look like they're made out of carbon fiber. I honestly don't know if it's carbon fiber or just plastic, painted like carbon fiber. It's got a texture to it. It is very nice though, so whoever designed that was quite smart. Other thing I should mention on it is you probably want to know the specs for flight range, flight time. 40-minute flight time. Flight range is like 12 kilometers, 7.5 miles. It does have the new Autel communication system in it, so it's got like triple bands, so it goes through the huge spectrum of communications, so you'll never disconnect from your drone. Autel even says it's better than what DJI offers. So DJI is up to like what, OcuSync 3.1 now, and Autel says it's even better than that. So I think someone's gonna have to test it out. I know in my tests I flew it behind apartment buildings, trees, other objects, and I never lost communication. So to me, it's very reliable. I have no issues with it. Let me tell you about the sensors on this baby. So on the bottom, you have 2 optical flow sensors, you have 2 ultrasonic sensors, and you have a huge light in the center down here, which is the brightest light I've ever seen. You're going to see that when I show you the night filming. It just lights up the ground. It's like somebody put a spotlight on you. You do have a spot on one side for a micro SD card, and you have a spot on the other side to plug in a USB-C cable to take data off, because there is some memory on board. I think there's like 4 gigs or 6 gigs of memory on board, and you can pull data off. If you forget a micro SD card, it will default and record on the drone itself. Biggest feature about this drone, which makes it so popular, is it has a 1-inch sensor up front, but it's not just your any everyday 1-inch sensor. It's actually the newest sensor on the market by Sony, and it's got that RYYB filter over front of it, which makes everything coming in light-wise look so realistic and so sharp and so clear. That's why I say, if you compare these two together for filming in low light, darkness, or anything like that, even on sunny days, this will always come out better because it's just getting more light into the lens and onto the sensor. And Autel says they use German manufactured glass in their lenses, so I don't know. They put a glass lens in this? A lot of drones just have plastic or acrylic. It does take 20 megapixel photos. You can do that in JPEG or RAW if you want. And the thing that all photographers like is it has a manual aperture, so you can play with the aperture. You can go from f2.8 all the way up to f11, just like on the DJI Mavic 3. ISO on here is 6400, which is perfect for night shooting, and it does have a feature on it that if you put it on super night, you're going to see it in this review, it actually boosts it beyond 6400, and it's got some noise reduction system happening that works extremely well. And of course, Autel likes the digital zoom, so you can digitally zoom into something up to 16 times. And it is a 6K camera, so as you saw in my video, I record everything in 6K. Always, whatever camera I have, I record in the highest resolution, because that way I can just crop it later myself. I do that too with the Air 2S. I always record in 5K. I do it with the DJI Mavic 3. I record in 5K and I just crop it later. Now I should mention the sensors for obstacle detection. You have 2 in the rear and you have 2 up front, and Autel says that the 2 up front are just as good, if not better, than the 4 up front on the Air 2S. I have not tested that, but in the future I'll test that out. The reason I have not tested it is because I'd like to try it out with tracking. You know, when you have the drone follow you and you're on a skateboard, a bike, or running around, and the drone has to follow you around objects as you go around objects. Dynamic track, which Autel has, they don't have it ready for this drone or the Nano drone until about end of January or February, and at that time then you'll see everybody on YouTube testing this out with the dynamic track to see how good it is. It was good in the Pro line of drones, so I assume it should be good in this line as well. And the final word on the obstacle detection is I should say it's a really good obstacle detection on this drone as well as on the Nano series. And what I mean by that is when a drone is coming up to an obstacle, some drones that are not very good, they stop abruptly, jerky, and you can't really film anything because it's ruining your video. This one here is designed for photographers, so when there's an object, it will see it, it will warn you of it, but it will let you keep on going forward. And then finally it will say, well, I can't go forward anymore, and it will stop. But it won't stop abruptly. It just slows itself down no matter what speed you're going, and comes to a nice slow stop in front of the objects. That gives you time to like move around the object and retrace your path. And you can still get pretty close to objects even going around them. The obstacle detection and avoidance does not cause you to be like miles away from the obstacle. Speaking of that, let me show you a quick demo of the obstacle detection coming at me. Here we go. All right, let's see if the obstacle avoidance goes off. There we go. And it slows down. And I've got the stick full forward. It does not go around you. When Dynamic Track 2.1 is released, then I can come out and do a full review of the obstacle avoidance and tracking. Let's get into the controller. I've already said at the start, this is the best controller you'll ever hold in your hands, at least in my opinion, because it's like an Xbox controller. It's really, really good, and it's so solid, and it's got just the right weight. Even with your phone in, it's really well balanced. It feels good. You could fly for days with this. Battery power in here, I have gone through 4 or 5 batteries on here, and this thing will last you about 5 batteries, I think. 5 batteries fully depleted on here. Then you have to recharge this. Your phone goes up top here, you fit it in. No, it does not fit an iPad. A lot of people ask me that. That is pretty much the max. I have an iPhone 11 Pro Max, which is quite a large phone with a case on it, and it fits in here no problem. That's your antenna right there. Buttons are minimal on the actual controller. You have nothing on the bottom, which is really good, so your fingers aren't accidentally touching anything. You have a function button, which operates as a 2-function button. In other words, one press of the button, you get function number 1, and if you press it twice, click, click, you get function number 2. Which is a smart idea. You only have one dial control up front, and that controls your camera gimbal to move it all the way down 90, forward, or a little bit above horizon. Your cable that's at the back, you can connect it up front, but as shown in my Nano video, I don't connect it up front. I wrap it around, because if you take this cable and connect it in the back, you're going to damage your cable, because look at how tight it is. It's bending it right here, which is not a good idea. So that's a bad idea on Autel's part. I just do this, and that saves your get around, and that saves your cable. There we go. It sits like that, and that's the way I put it in the case. Same as the joysticks. The joysticks do come off. Some people have stuck the joysticks in these little holes in the back. Those holes are not designed for the joysticks. They're just straight pieces of metal, so you're actually wrecking your threads when you put them in there. What I do is I take the joysticks off and I stick them right in here. If you want to see all this, just watch my Autel Nano Plus review. I show you everything I do with the controller. Now, the app you're going to have to download and put on your phone is called the Autel Sky app. I'll start it up there, and it looks like that. It starts up very fast. Let me bring it close so you can see what it looks like in my display. There you go. One thing to mention about the app, it is designed just like the DJI Fly app. It's designed for beginners. In other words, your grandma can go to Best Buy, buy a drone, and be up and flying in 2 seconds. The same is true with the Autel line of drones. You can go buy them at Best Buy or whatever and be up and flying in 2 seconds, because the app is designed for beginners. DJI makes all their products for beginners in the consumer market, and Autel does pretty much the same. If you buy the Autel 2 Pro, 8K or 6K, you do not use this app, you use the other app, which has more pro features in it. However, I will mention with this app, it's really good and everything makes sense where it's located, so a beginner should have no problem. And it's also designed to be so simple that no matter what you select, the drone does all the work for you for making sure your videos and photos always look awesome, and you can't goof anything up. I don't think you can make the videos or photos look bad. Even if you tried, you'd have to try pretty hard anyway. So for beginners, it's awesome. So with that said, I should show you quickly how you access the settings to change the camera features on the drone for different autonomous shooting modes that you want to get into. So we'll watch this. All right, let's go through the menu really quick. You have quick shots with flick, fadeaway, rocket, orbit. Then you have your portrait mode. And then you have your photo mode for just taking photos in RAW or JPEG. And you have your zoom mode over there with the 1, 2, and 4. You can go higher. If I press in, I can zoom that up. There we go. I can go up to 16 times zoom if I want. Next, you have video mode, and you have the same zoom control. Then you have hyperlapse with manual orbit and a few other settings. Then you have panorama mode, and those are all your panoramas. Then for shooting at night, you have specific modes. You have standard for normal shooting at night. Then you have night shooting where it opens up everything. And then you have super night when there's not a lot of light. You know, it shows like a moonlight and it really wants to crank up the ISO. Then finally, the last one, you have pro mode, and you have your normal setting at the top, P, where you can change some settings. Then you have manual mode, then you have shutter priority, and then you have aperture priority, since there is an aperture on this thing. Now, one thing that sets this app apart from other apps on the market, these are all the photos and videos I've taken with this drone, quite a few, is that you can transfer all your photos and videos from your drone to your phone. So let me explain that really quick. So when you take the photos and videos, you put a micro SD card in the drone, and everything is recorded in the drone in high quality. At the same time, the video image that is streamed back to your controller to your phone while you're flying and you're looking at everything is also recorded in your phone. But that's at a lower quality. It might be at like 2K or 1080p or even less. It just depends how far away you are or what the image transmission looks like. Now, if you want the high quality photos, 20 megapixels and 6K video off the drone onto your phone, you have to transfer it, either take the micro SD card out, go stick it in your computer and then transfer it, because there's no micro SD card slot on your phone. However, if you want to to transfer them direct to your phone, it's designed to do that. It's got a built-in transfer system. You just put your phone back in your controller, you select your pictures on here in the menu, and you just select transfer, and it transfers super fast right to your phone. It's got some of the fastest communication system in any drone on the market. Also, it's true that the software comes with editing software. As you can see here, I can go through, I'm far away, let me bring close editing software so I could scroll. Where am I? My finger do anything? Editing software so I could scroll through and edit the video I've taken or the pictures up here, anything like that, and then send it out on social media. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, how noisy are the props on the Lite version compared to the Air 2S version? And I'm going to say they sound pretty much identical in a lot of ways. It's very low noise. This drone, if you bought it, you could fly it in a lot of locations and people wouldn't even know you're flying a drone. It's very low noise. You would think it should be louder due to the size difference, but no, it's pretty quiet. So speaking of the Air 2S, and I know I've mentioned it already that the camera is better than that on the Air 2S. How about I show you the camera comparison? So here, check this out. Now, the DJI Air 2S is one of the best camera drones on the market for your money. It has done well in comparison to many drones. So how does it stack up against the EVO Lite Plus? Well, I put both drones up in the air in the frigid cold temperatures, and the first thing I noticed was that the gimbal on the Air 2S was vibrating. However, DJI has placed software in the Air 2S that smooths out such vibrations and gives you a nice image. You'll look over at the EVO Lite Plus and you'll see that the cold really didn't bother it. The gimbal looks perfectly fine. Now on with the comparison. So it's a bright sunny day, and on bright sunny days, all drones take great images. So check this out. I tried to take the image where there was the shadow from my Jeep that would cause low light situations, but honestly, look at the EVO Lite Plus and the Air 2S. Does one image look better than the other? I would say no. I think they both look great. Now, if you wanted to get nitpicky, you would say then that the EVO Lite Plus, look at the snow in the background, it's not blown out. The Air 2S has blown it out due to less dynamic range, whereas the EVO Lite Plus could properly expose for the shadows as well as the bright snow and get everything correct. But in bright sunlight, it would be difficult to tell the difference between the two images. Now, would we see any difference if I took photos on a bright sunny day? Well, let's give it a try. So I took a photo with each drone, not at the same time because I couldn't handle both controllers, and these are the results. Once again, they both look fantastic. So the end result is that if you take a photo or video on a sunny day between both the Air 2S and the Lite, there's not much difference. However, if you do the same thing in low light or at night, there's a massive difference. Check out the EVO Lite Plus compared to the Air 2S here. Watch when I move my arm, I'm going to set off my motion security light, which is going to cause the EVO Lite Plus camera to show the difference in image, whereas the Air 2S does not show much difference even with the extra light. Now, both cameras do have a 1-inch sensor, and we all know that the bigger the sensor, the better it is in low light. However, there's more at play here. The EVO Lite Plus has that RYYB filter. It's using the German glass for a lens, so I guess more light's coming in. The same results apply when taking photos. So you'll see here in this next sequence of photos, the EVO Lite Plus takes a much better photo at night than the Air 2S. Both photos were taken at exactly the same time. And next I'm going to stand in the middle of the photo and you can see me on the EVO Lite Plus, but you can barely see me on the Air 2S photo.